especially to new people coming in today. I see there's quite a lot of them. So welcome. Our practice is we ask that you use the chat box to type in for us which city and country you are joining us from. City and country, please, not just your country. I know a lot of American folk just like to say USA, and then we have South Africans that just say South Africa. Please listen to my instructions. City and country. Amazing. Hello, Agnes. Jambo ya Nairobi. I see you in Kenya. Welcome, welcome. Maseru Lesotho. That's always exciting to have guys from Lesotho. Dumelang. The meeting is being live streamed. So if some of you can just go onto your Facebook pages and look up Dr. Dita and just say meeting on, that would be really, really great, so that we can catch other people on Facebook. So yeah, just tell us where you're coming in from. I will be starting officially in a minute, because one of the things that we do very well in these sessions is that we keep to time. So if you are new here, amazing that you came on time, welcome. Tell others that we do these things on time, which is fantastic. We do not subscribe to that concept of African time. We don't do that here. So good evening, good morning, good day, wherever you are. And welcome once again. Doc, how are you feeling today?
I'm good.
Yeah, you just had your rest day, so you're always good on Thursdays.
I did.
We appreciate you for that.
We
have some amazing guests with us tonight. Mr. Keith Newsom is very popular in these sessions. South Africa loves you, Keith, and we cannot wait to have you visit us one of these days, definitely within this year, which will be awesome. Welcome, everyone. It is 7:03 on the dot in terms of where I am. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to kick this meeting off. Let me just put this on Do Not Disturb Me. Hello, Maryland. Oh, Texas, Arlington. You're welcome, everyone. Good evening. My name is Dr. Catherine Lepoto. I am in Johannesburg, South Africa. I'm a very proud member of the Africa chapter of Reclaim Your Health. That's what brings us here this evening. And what are we going to do this evening? We are going to share. We're going to share about the science of good health. We're going to demystify some of the concepts. And the aim and the hope is that you're going to learn one or two things that are going to help you change how you live your life. But also, importantly, we hope that you will leave this meeting having learned concepts that are going to help you reclaim your life if you're already living with some of the illnesses that we're going to discuss today. We want you to go away having some hope. So these are sessions that are meant to bring hope. That's the first thing. The second thing is that we hope you will come back, because we do these sessions every single week. And we believe that by coming back time and again, you pick up more and more useful things that you can apply to your life. And the third thing is that we hope that you're going to go away from this session inspired to share about these sessions with other people, so that they too can come and get the knowledge they need to improve their lives. Ultimately, we are trying to make everybody feel better. So my job tonight is to be your host, and I am very, very excited and honored to present to you our our guest speaker tonight. His name is Dr. Dita Wefuen, who is a JUA board certified physician in internal medicine and pediatrics. And he is also the founder of the Reclaim Your Health Solutions, which is a virtual functional medicine and metabolic health practice that is based in Fort Worth, Texas. He's originally a proud son of Africa, so we are very, very proud to have him bring all this amazing knowledge to us. He is not alone. He is accompanied by many other doctors. A lot of them are specialists. Most of them are actually in the United States. Many of them are children of Africa. So we are very, very grateful for them to bring back the knowledge to us. Just to emphasize, what we are going to be discussing does not go against any of what the principles and the concepts of healthcare in Africa are teaching us. It's just about complementary. It's about helping you know how to do things a little bit better so that you can have better outcomes. So please go away understanding that what we're talking about is not against any of what our health systems on the continent are teaching us. So this is very, very important. So with all that said, I'm going to turn over to Dr. Dieter, and he's going to, by way of a little bit of housekeeping, he's going to do his presentation. As he goes along, if you are picking up questions, you can start putting them in the chat, but let's allow him to finish his presentation. And when he's done, he's going to engage. We're going to have a conversation and a discussion. So is that okay? I think it is. So over to you, Doc. Welcome once again. And I am so honored and always excited to have you and your fellow speakers. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Catherine. And thank you to those of you guys joining me from the continent of Africa, where you are, whether it's Lesotho, whether it's Namibia, whether it's Kenya, whether it's Cameroon. So those of you joining me from Europe, and for those of you joining me here in North America, thank you. I'm going to share my screen and we will get on with our presentation. Okay, wonderful. Dr. Catherine, thank you for the introduction. My name is Dr. Dieter, and I am a board certified internist and a son of a soil of Africa. I'm from Cameroon, Africa, and I'm a physician with disciplines in internal medicine and pediatrics. And recently, over the last 3 years, I've taken a strong passion in the science of reversible modern diseases. And I start by asking us this question: why are we so sick today? And ladies and gentlemen, the answer is simpler than you think. We are sick because we eat in ways that harm our body's natural biology. Food is supposed to be medicine, or it can be poison. And what we eat affects two key systems in our body. And unfortunately, for most of us, food is the latter. It is poison to us. So the two systems which are affected by the way we eat today is how our body makes energy and how our gut functions. These two entities, how the body makes energy, entity number one, and how the gut functions, entity number two, could draw a direct correlation to the reasons why we're sick today. So, what I plan to do is to examine entity number one and show you how it's related to why we're sick today, and entity number two and show you how it's related to why we are sick today. Beginning with entity number one, how the body makes energy. This is dependent on a hormone called insulin. Insulin is a very, very critical hormone in our body. It is the most important hormone in our body because insulin helps to secure the body's energy needs. And how does insulin do that? You see, the job of insulin, every time you consume food, calories, those calories are converted into glucose. And the job of insulin is to do this, is to move that glucose uh, out of the blood. So every time you eat, absorption occurs, glucose is released into the blood. And the job of insulin is to mobilize that glucose out of the blood into the cell. Okay? That's insulin's job. When glucose gets into the cell, there is a special organelle in the cell called the mitochondria. You may remember from your junior biology classes the mitochondria being called the powerhouse of the cell. It's like an energy factory. So what happens is that in the mitochondria, the glucose goes through a complex series of reactions, which we call the electron transport chain. But the result is that it spits out an energy molecule called ATP, which stands for adenosine triphosphate. And that is just simply energy. So that is how insulin secures the body's energy needs. Now, why is that important? Every cell in the body requires energy to function. The cell group up to form tissues, tissues group up to form organs, organs group up to form a system, and the system forms the whole human. The smallest entity of the body is a cell. Every single cell requires energy to function, and insulin sits pivotal at securing the body's energy needs. Now, when the cell doesn't have the energy it needs to function, the cell malfunctions. In fact, the simplest definition of a disease is a group of cells or tissues or organs or system that has malfunctioned or that is not functioning well. And why is it not functioning well? Because it lacks the energy. So there is something we call when insulin is not able to secure the body's energy needs, when there is a breakdown in this process of insulin securing the body's energy needs, we call that breakdown insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is just simply the fancy term to say that insulin could no longer cause the body to produce energy. It's ATP. And remember, every cell in the body requires energy to function. Imagine your body like a city powered by energy plants. When the plants are functioning well, things thrive in the city. Traffic is flowing, traffic lights come on, railroads go on, and what have you. The things that require it to be powered by energy. That's how your body is. When there is an outage because you do not have energy, then you now have traffic lights don't come on, the train doesn't move, what have you. So when insulin is not able to secure the body's energy needs, those critical systems break down in your body. Now, this is a slide showing the depiction of insulin of what happens when you have a critical system breakdown in the body because of insulin resistance. Remember, insulin helps to secure the body's energy needs. And if we're saying that every cell in the body requires energy to function, when there is now a breakdown in insulin securing the body's energy needs, and there's a deficiency of energy, you start having disease processes that come as a result of that. And this slide is not an end all be all of all the diseases that come as a result of insulin resistance, the energy shortage. It's just simply a small depiction of a small depiction of the many modern day diseases that we have today that as a result of insulin not working well. High blood pressure, heart disease, erectile dysfunction, obesity, diabetes, cancer. Many of these modern day diseases, you could get their root from insulin not being able to secure the body's energy needs. Now, let's talk about the second aspect, the gut. How the gut functions, how our gut functions depends on a population of healthy bacteria in the gut. This is a picture of the gut, and you may not know it, but in our gut is a population of about 30 to 100 trillion bacteria that live in our gut. They have a special name called the microbiome. And these bacteria maintain the health of the gut. The gut is a very, very important entity in your health. It is so important. In fact, many people call the gut the second brain. It is the root to many of the illnesses that we face. And how is that? The gut performs several different functions, and the functions of the gut are dependent on the health of this bacteria that live in our gut called the microbiome. Now, 50% of these bacteria that live in our gut are what we call bad bacteria. And the other 50% of the bacteria that live in our gut are what we call good bacteria. So this 50-50% proportion help to balance each other out. And this proportion is important in maintaining the health of the gut. On this slide here, several different um, some functions of the gut. I want to highlight one important function, which is the gut. Your gut helps to regulate and maintain your immune system. Did you know, ladies and gentlemen, that 70% of the body's immune system resides in the gut? And the other 30% resides in the bone marrow, the lymph nodes, the lymphatics. And your gut is charged with training the immune system on how well to respond. You see, your immune system is supposed to be able to defend you, go to war for you when your body is facing a threat. That's what your immune system does. It is your first line defense. And the gut is in charge of training that immune system. And when your gut is healthy, your immune system does its job well. It defends you. But when the gut is not healthy, one of the things that are compromised, yeah, one of the functions of the gut that become compromised is that the immune system, which is now supposed to be your defense, now turns its back on you. Instead of protecting you, it begins to attack you. And so this slide here enumerates some of the functions of the gut, and they are dependent on the health of the bacteria in the gut. Now, there is something we call gut imbalance. And what is gut imbalance? Gut imbalance is simply a scenario where the bad bacteria in the gut outnumber the good ones. I want to go back to, there's something I forgot about entity one, and I want to go back to entity one. Forgive me, just forgot about this. When we talked about we eat in ways that affect our body's natural biology, and I talked about when insulin cannot secure the body's energy needs, we call that insulin resistance, a breakdown. Now, I left out what causes insulin resistance, and I want to bring your attention back to that because that will be important. You see, um, in today's day and age, right, we are consuming about 35% more calories today than our ancestors did. 35% more calories. What that means is that insulin is having to do this job 35% over time. If I had a job and my employer told me, Dr. Dieter, you're going to work on this job, expect to work 35% overtime every day, I'm going to get burnt out. And when I get burnt out, what's going to happen is I become an ineffective employee. And when I'm an ineffective employee, my productivity goes down. So today we are consuming 35% more calories than our ancestors did. We're eating 11 times a day. They say in the West, they say the average person is eating 11 times a day. Our ancestors never did this. Some people, I may say in a generous term, we're eating 3 meals a day. Our ancestors ate an average of 1.5 meals a day. Today, we're eating 3 full meals plus snacking throughout the day. And what's happening is that it is causing our insulin to work 35% over time. When insulin is called to work 35% over time, it becomes burnt out. When insulin becomes burned out, is no longer able to secure the body's energy needs, and then you have insulin resistance. So I wanted to bring that, which is something which I left out. And just to put in context about these calories that we are consuming today, they say in a single can of a soda, there is more sugar in a single can of a soda than you and I, our ancestors, would have consumed their whole life. So just put that into context. So consumption of an excess amount of calories has caused insulin to work over and over again. That has caused it to become burned out. Going back to gut imbalance, I said the gut plays an important role in our health, and the health of the health of the gut depends on the population of the bacteria in the gut. There is something we call gut imbalance where you lose that 50-50% proportion. And what happens is that the bad bacteria increase in number to say 70%, and the good bacteria decrease in number to say 30%. That's called gut imbalance. And what causes when you have gut imbalance, it now compromises the functions that the gut has to do, and then you can develop disease entities as a result of that. What causes gut imbalance? The gut imbalance is caused by the shortage of food. But you have to say, wait a minute, doc. You just said that we are consuming, you just said that we are consuming 35% more calories today than our ancestors did. So what do you mean by a shortage of food? We don't have a shortage of food, but this is specifically the shortage of food I'm talking about, the shortage of fiber. You see, the food for the bacteria in the gut is fiber. And today, our foods are so processed, we're not consuming enough fiber. So, these bacteria in the gut are not receiving the nutrients that they need. Our foods have become so processed. An average man is supposed to consume about 38 grams of fiber a day. A woman should consume 25 grams of fiber. I don't know what the statistics are in Africa, but I think it may be a little bit better. But here in the West, in the United States, the average man is consuming 10 to 12 grams of fiber a day. Our ancestors were consuming 80 to 90 grams of fiber a day. You see, again, every living organism needs nutrients. If it's a plant, it needs nutrient. If it's a bacteria, it needs nutrient. If it's a lion, it needs nutrient. And the food for this bacteria in our gut is fiber, which unfortunately we are not giving them. That's where the shortage of food is coming from. Now, when there's a shortage of food, this is what happens. Survival of the fittest sets in. Anytime there is a shortage, there is crisis. Anytime there is crisis, there is survival of the fetus. So a survival of the fetus fight takes place in the gut. And when that fight takes place, the bad bacteria, the stronger bacteria, they win that fight. When they win the fight, they hoard the little fiber that is there to themselves. And then they say, you know what? We don't have enough food for us, the bad guys and the good guys. Why don't we increase our army to keep a monopoly on this little food that is there? And so they now increase their army to 70 at the expense of the bad bacteria, at the expense of the good bacteria. And when that happens, we say you have gut imbalance. And when you have gut imbalance, it now compromises the functions of the gut. And when that compromises the functions of the gut, you now start having disease entities like this that come as a result of an unhealthy gut. On this slide are so many a few autoimmune diseases: multiple sclerosis, lupus, Hashimoto, celiac. These are diseases where the gut, because of the gut being unhealthy, it is no longer able to train the immune system to do what the immune system is supposed to do. Instead, the immune system is now turning its back on you, and you're having autoimmune diseases. Colon cancer now, there is an overwhelming amount of evidence colon cancer being linked to gut imbalance and the deficiency of fiber. More and more younger people are being diagnosed with colon cancer today than it was the case because of fiber and gut imbalance. I do want to highlight anxiety and depression because I found this to be surprising that anxiety and depression are disease entities that come from the gut. You see, but the biology makes sense. There is a hormone called serotonin, and serotonin is what we call our happy hormone and maintains our mood and happiness. Did you know that 90% of that hormone is produced in the gut? And the other 10% of that hormone is produced in the central nervous system. So when the gut is unhealthy, right, 90% of that hormone cannot be produced. And the body is now reliant on 10% to maintain mood and happiness. That's how gut imbalance results in anxiety and depression. Now, I would say so. This is how these two disease entities are the reasons why we are sick today. How our body makes energy and how our gut functions. Now, in as much as these are the reason why we are sick today, there's now an overwhelming amount of evidence that says that if we can go back and restore how the body makes energy and restore the balance of the gut, these two entities, which cause a global energy shortage and cause critical systems to fail, if we can go back and restore them, then the disease entities that came as a result of the failure or came as a result of the energy deficiency, those diseases can be reversed. And I put it this way. I want you to think about this simple analogy, very simplistic. Let's say you're driving in a car and the car runs out of petrol or gas. That car is gonna stop. The car stops because it has ran out of its energy source. If you were to walk to a petrol station or gas station and bought gas and took the gas back to your car and put gas back into it or petrol in your tank, that car is gonna start again. The car starts again because you never had an intrinsic failure of the engine. It just had an energy deficiency. So it is with the body, ladies and gentlemen. These many of these modern day diseases that we face today are the result of how our body makes energy and how our gut functions, both of which have caused a global deficiency of energy. If you can restore that energy shortage, just like that car starts again when you put petrol into it, so too is your body. So simple, but so profound. Those diseases begin to go away. So, what I want to do now, I want to present to you guys a solution called the Feel Great system, which is going to help to reverse the energy problem and reverse the gut imbalance. And this system has become one of my very favorite tools as a physician to be able to help people reclaim their health again. And it is made up of two products, which are what we call nutraceuticals. What's a nutraceutical? A nutraceutical is a product that is made 100% from plants, plant-based, and has huge therapeutic benefits that outweigh the nutritional benefits. And what we're going to do here is we're going to use the science of intermittent fasting, which I'll abbreviate as IF, and fiber supplementation to reverse the two issues, the energy problem and the insulin resistance problem and the gut imbalance problem. You see, these diseases that I mentioned here in modern day society, our ancestors never had these issues. If you went back 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, you wouldn't find anybody roaming around with fatty liver. You wouldn't find anybody roaming around with migraines, high blood pressure, all these things. Why is that? Is it because 3, 4, 500 years ago, our ancestors had the best hospitals? No. Is it because they had the state of the best doctors? No. Is it because they had the best medicine? No. In fact, modern medicine had not been born at that time. It's because they did not eat in ways that harmed those two systems. And so, what we want to do is we want to go back to simulating, what our ancestors did well with food that kept their insulin working well and kept their gut working well. So, we're going to use the science of intermittent fasting. Why? I mentioned that insulin has gotten burned out because we're consuming 35% more calories today than our ancestors did. Because we're consuming 35% more calories, insulin is having to do this work. 35% over time every day has gotten burnt out and can no longer secure the body's energy needs. So we're going to try to use intermittent fasting. I mentioned our ancestors at a meal and a half a day. Today we're eating 11 times a day. We're eating like vultures, eating between meals. What that's doing is engaging our insulin over and over again and has caused it to become burned out and an ineffective employee. So this very first product called Unimate is going to assist you to intermittently fast. We're recommending that you try to simulate what our ancestors did. Our ancestors ate about a meal and a half a day. We're saying on this, to try to rest your insulin, we want you to begin a discipline of intermittent fasting and drop one meal, eat 2 meals a day, and go to fasting for 16 hours. And why fasting for 16 hours? Because the longer you're fasting, the longer insulin is resting. If my employer put me to work 35% overtime and I got burned out, the best way I'll recuperate from that burnout to become an effective employee again is if I rest. So when you're fasting, your body is not seeing any calories. If your body is not seeing any calories, glucose is not being released. If glucose is not being released, the pancreas does not have to employ insulin to go to work. Insulin is resting. When insulin rests, insulin can recuperate. So uh, we want you to go back to simulating just a little bit of what our ancestors did. Begin fasting and 16 hours. And this product here is going to help you to fast. It's this product called Unimate is made from a plant that is native to the South Americas called the yerba mate plant. And what it does is that it's rich in a special phytonutrient called chlorogenic acid. And chlorogenic acid causes the body, induces the production of a special hormone called glucagon-like peptide 1 hormone. You may have heard about this hormone in drugs like Ozempic, Mounjaro, and what have you. Your body naturally produces this hormone when you eat the right phytonutrients, consume the right foods. Now, what I like about the Unimate and how it helps with fasting is that every time you take the Unimate, it goes and induces the GLP-1 production, which is a satiety hormone, a hormone that makes you not feel hungry. And it shuts off the hunger center of your brain so that you can fast. We have people who cannot fast, cannot skip breakfast without feeling like World War III is about to start. What I love about this product is it helps you fast without provoking World War III. It makes it seamless. And and how does it work? Let's say you have dinner at 7 p.m. at nighttime. You go to bed at 10 p.m. and you wake up at 7 a.m. From the last time you had dinner at 7 p to 7 a, you've already been fasting for 12 hours. We want to use the Unimate to help you extend your fast by another 4 hours into 14 hours. So what I do I fill this bottle. When you order the product, it comes with a bottle like this, which has a graduation here that says Unimate. So what I do is I wake up in the morning and I fill the bottle to that level. And this product is minimally processed. They have taken the chlorogenic acid main component from here and put it in a powder form. So what I do is I just empty the powder contents into this bottle. And after emptying the powder contents into this, I just shake that. And after shaking that, it's ready to go. And what I do is I sip on this every 10 to 15 minutes for this 4 hour period. And each time I take a sip of it, it causes the body to produce the GLP-1 hormone, goes and calms down my hunger center in the brain so the World War III doesn't start. I can fast I could fast for another 4 hours and skip breakfast just by sipping on this every 10 to 15 minutes. It extends my fast to 16 hours. And when I'm fasting, insulin is resting. When insulin is resting, it's recuperating from its burnout. When it recuperates from its burnout, it could now become an effective employee again, and its productivity goes up in securing the body's energy needs. And then the disease processes that came as a result of the energy deficiency now begin to disappear. Now, the second product is a product we call balance. Balance is just simply fiber. And fiber is very important in also helping your insulin to rest. So the Unimate helps to address this energy deficiency, insulin resistance. Fiber does the same thing. Helps to bring down your insulin working too much. How does fiber do that? Fiber decreases glucose absorption or carbohydrate absorption. If you and I eat a a carbohydrate rich meal, and I consumed mine with a lot of fiber and you consumed yours without, your blood sugar is going to go higher than mine. Because what fiber does is that it cushions your blood sugar rise, makes you not to have a high glycemic index. And I'll give an example like this. Let's say you and I ate a bowl of pap, which is high in carbohydrates, and you consume that bowl of pap without fiber, your blood sugar will do this. And that may be a blood sugar of 160. For me, I know a thing or two about fiber, and I know that is going to cushion my blood sugar rise. This product is made, the balance is made from fiber taken from 7 different plants. So what I do is I consume the balance product, and just like the Unimate, the balance comes in a powder form too. So you fill the bottle to this level called balance, and you empty the powder into it. And for the balance, it's taken a little bit differently. When you empty the powder contents into it and shake it, you consume it all immediately. You do not want it to sip it. So when I consume the balance and then I go eat the same bowl of pap that you have eaten, my blood sugar profile is going to look like that. And that blood sugar profile for me may be a blood sugar of 80. Now, wait a minute. You and I ate exactly the same quantity of this carbohydrate rich meal. The only thing I did difference was I preloaded mine with fiber and you did not. What are the implications of that? Because your blood sugar went up to 160, your pancreas is now going to have to call in or recruit more insulin to address that blood sugar of 160. So for you, your pancreas is going to say 20 units of insulin. I need you to come to work today. Okay. There's work to be done. Okay. For me, because my blood sugar only went up to 80, my pancreas is going to call in only a smaller amount of insulin to come to work today. So you say, hey, 5 units of insulin. I need you to come to work today. So if insulin is burnt out because it has worked overtime 35% of the time, it's not a good thing. It's not good right here to be putting more insulin to work, calling 20 units of insulin to come to work. You want to be calling less insulin to work. So that's what fiber does. It causes the pancreas to put less insulin to work. And less insulin to work means that more insulin is resting. And remember, insulin needs to rest to recuperate from its burnout to begin to secure the body's energy needs again. That's the importance of fiber. And lastly, fiber is food to the gut. So that's how the fiber reverses the insulin resistance problem by resting your insulin. And the last thing is that fiber helps to reverse the gut imbalance. Because remember, the food for the bacteria in the gut is fiber, and you develop gut imbalance because of the shortage of fiber. When you now begin to take the balanced product, which is rich in fiber, what happens is that you now have enough food for the bad guys and the good guys. There's no need for infighting. That now restores the 50-50% balance. When that does, the functions of the gut that are riding on the 50-50 balance of the bacteria are now restored. And these disease entities that came as a result of gut imbalance now restored. So I will end by saying this, going back again. Why are we so sick today? Because of these two entities. And thankfully, if we can reverse these two entities, those disease processes that came as a result of that can be reversed. And I end by saying that the Feel Great system, this nutraceutical solution, has become a very favorite tool in helping as many patients reclaim their health again. And it could be hope for you, for your family, for anybody you know to help them reclaim their health again. Thank you very much. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I am going to hand it over Dr. Catherine. Dr. Estangare is going to help us with is going to help us with the testimonies. We're just going to show a few testimonies of some people whose lives have changed. After which, Dr. Catherine, you could moderate and we'll also maybe have Keith share his story somewhere after that. And Dr. Catherine, you could moderate and take some questions.
Sounds good, Doc. Let's go for it. Go ahead. Thank you.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, we could. And by the way, Dr. Esther is a family medicine physician and also a daughter of Africa. She's from Kenya. We're proud to have you on this mission, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dieter, Dr. Catherine. Hi, everybody. So I'll just go through some pictures, people that some of them I have met personally. This is changing a lot of people's lives. This is just, lots of them on here. That's me. This was 5 months apart from when I started the protocol. You can see, I always say as women, we know what we put on under dresses sometimes to make us look good. The picture on the right, Spanx under the dress, that was the same dress 5 months later, nothing underneath. And I want to say this as I address a question that somebody asked. Someone said, why is it that some people don't get sick while others do get sick? They don't get insulin resistance. My story is that I have never been diagnosed, no blood pressure, no elevated A1C, none of that. I just knew I was struggling with weight and fatigue. If I hadn't checked my fasting insulin, which was 57.5 on the day I checked it, I would never have known that I was just diabetes waiting to happen. And we know that long before your A1C ever rises, you have insulin resistance. I was able to check that. And by the time I was taking the second picture, my A1C had, my fasting insulin was, constantly below 5. So those initial labs are not always something to depend on. Well, this is just another, I want to highlight Richard here. Richard in the middle, Richard had gout, had weight problems, had been on high doses and Ozempic for about 9 months, not losing any weight. And this was just within about 3 months of being on the protocol, came off all gout medication and moved from a size 4XL to just an XL. And he's doing much better now. Richard was at a point where he probably was thinking of quitting walking and stuff. And he actually did a Spartan race with us in November. And that was just 2 months after starting on the protocol. I also want to just look at these pictures. I want you to see how people's faces change. We carry a lot of inflammation and sometimes we don't realize. But just looking, take a selfie before you start this protocol and then do one 3 months later. This just shows, how people change. I'll go back to this once I have. And here is our own Dr. Dieter. So the picture on the left in black, Dr. Dieter was doing intermittent fasting and he was jogging maybe about 2 or 3 times a week and had consistently done that for quite a while. So he knew what needed to be done. But 2.5 months after starting the protocol, that is the difference it makes. So it actually accentuates the good habits that you're already beginning to pick up. But once insulin resistance and gut imbalance have set in, it becomes so difficult to get back to that, to restore health optimally. So this is what these products help you with. And this is Dr. Dieter's sister in Cameroon. Of course, once you find out something that is working for your health, you share it with your siblings. That was the same story with me. The first people I ever shipped this to in Kenya were my sisters. So, this is Dr. Dieter's sister. Same thing happened to her. You can see totally different person in the 2 pictures. This is Jim Gracer. Look at that A1C. Came down from 12.2 to 5.2. 5.2 is considered within the normal limits. And Jim's life has changed. And I remember one of the things he also said was that he no longer needs to depend on antidepressants. I don't remember who this is, but look like 2 totally different people. He lost 155 pounds, reversed diabetes, cholesterol, blood pressure, and triglycerides, and he's not on any medications. This one, fatty liver gone, 60 pounds down, high blood pressure, and sleep apnea. A lot of people are struggling with sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is one of the causes of, sudden death, where people die in their sleep. He reversed that. And this is Dr. Natasha. Dr. Natasha is actually a good friend of ours. He's up there in Dallas with Dr. Dieter. Dr. Natasha struggled with particularly gut issues, and that's a difference. So even us doctors do struggle with these things. We may look like we have it all together and like we know all the information, but we're still struggling with the same things. And so when we find something that actually works, then we share it with you. This is Keith, as many of you have had, Keith, diabetes for over 20 years, and to the point that, diabetes, eye problems, kidney problems, all the things that come together with diabetes. But now, as we know, diabetes is just one of the things that happens when you have insulin resistance and gut imbalance. It's not an isolated thing. It's happening with all these other things going on. Keith even had a diabetic foot ulcer, one of those things that nobody wants to see, because when it happens, it can lead to amputation and God knows what else. Yep. That is Keith. And I'm sorry I didn't warn you about what was coming, but that was January 2025. Keith went through the conventional treatment, hyperbaric chambers, high pressure, $180,000 worth of treatment. That is what it got him. 3.5 months on the Feel Great system. That is his foot. This is one picture that if I didn't have a picture, I would not believe. But I have met Keith, and he's walking without any problem. This is somebody else. Look at the difference from 320 pounds to 254. People even look younger. This is actually an ex-NFL player. He lost weight, but also got rid of psoriasis. He had really bad psoriasis, and that is no longer an issue for him. Children too can take this protocol. You want to definitely talk about it with whoever's introducing you to it, but children, it's safe to give this protocol to children. This is raw A1C from above 14, where it was even unreadable on the machine, and down to 5.9, and now it's much better. Acne. A lot of people are struggling with acne, particularly this kind of cystic nodular acne, where you've tried pretty much everything on the market. You've seen dermatologists. You take care of that inflammation and the sugar overload in the system. And now we know that sugar overload is not just when you have diabetes. You can actually have that way before diabetes ever sets in. So look at the difference, 6 months on the Feel Great system. This is another picture. This is one of those pictures I also say, if you don't know the person, you would not believe it's the same two people. A lot changes. We carry a lot of inflammation. We carry a lot of fluid in our bodies when we are inflamed. This couple, look at the difference. Again, looking like they just shed 10 to 15 years. This is somebody else, 3 months. She's a type 1 diabetic. Now, what happens to type 1 diabetics? Yes, they don't produce insulin, but then we give them insulin. But over the years, they do develop insulin resistance. And now they actually need more and more insulin dosages. But what happens when they start taking this protocol, we have seen many of them cut back on how much insulin they need. They lose the weight, and they definitely feel much, much better. 70 pounds down, again, reversed diabetes, lowered cholesterol, and better triglyceride numbers. Cody, I like this picture of Cody because not only does he lose weight, one of the questions I keep getting asked is, so, when you lose weight, are you losing muscle, especially in comparison to what we know is in the market, the GLP-1s and muscle loss, and then the skin sagging. People don't like losing weight because they're thinking, now that's another expense. I'm going to have to pay the plastic surgeon to tack, take a nip and tack here. But look at that difference. No knife, but he lost that weight. But because you don't lose muscle, you actually are able to build muscle because your muscles can actually function more optimally. So you actually build muscle, and then you actually do not get any wrinkles or any sagging skin. Again, looking like a totally different person. Oh my gosh, I forget her name.
Beatrice.
This is Beatrice.
Beatrice from Uganda.
Yes, this is Beatrice from Uganda. And look at the difference. And this is actually, she looks much different even now as she's continued taking the protocol. Yep, that is it. Thank you so much. I will hand it over back to Dr. Catherine, but the difference is amazing.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Dr. Esther. That was amazing. I don't know if you still have a picture of myself as well that you could share.
I do.
Because it's always lovely seeing all these people we don't know. But
Yeah,
people want to see people they do know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I, as you are pulling that up, Doc, I also want to share there is a nurse in the call tonight. She is here in Johannesburg, and she has been living with high blood pressure for a few years. And last week, she went and had her checkup with her physician, and having been on the protocol for 10 days, her blood pressure is now reading in the 122/66 when it used to be 153/90. That's her resting blood pressure. So that's somebody in this call tonight. Sister Margaret is her name. She's a very, very, very dear sister to me. And yeah, you have seen my pictures. I've posted a lot of my pictures on Facebook. The pictures for me are not so important, if I may just add. What's important is how I'm feeling. And I want to share with you. This was me 5-6 weeks on the protocol. Same dress as Dr. Esther. I think it's always nice when you use the same dress. And I look even much lighter than what I was looking like then. But the most important thing I want to share is that the pain I used to have in the lower back, my lower back pain, my knee joint pain, my swelling ankles, all of that has completely disappeared. And I'm now 3 full months on the protocol. So I think it's just really amazing. So let's just go back to having a conversation, Doc, as we lead into some of the questions. I want to ask Dr. Dieter first, because this is part of the experience you had. It's about intermittent fasting. So I often come across this question, why, I'm already doing intermittent fasting on water. So why would I need to use a protocol like what you guys are talking about? Can you touch on that, please, Doc?
Yeah, so that's a very good question, and it's a reasonable question to be asked. One thing, as you guys saw with my photo, my change, I had been doing intermittent fasting for 5 years, and I got to a point where I had an improvement in my overall metabolic profile, but I stayed stagnant. And I could not make any more progress, even though I was doing intermittent fasting. One of the things about this product which I like, it's in addition to it helping you to intermittently fast, the Unimate has an intrinsic property in there. The nutrients in there have an intrinsic property to cause what we call lipolysis, which is fat burning. And fat accumulation, we have two types of fat. Sometimes we have resistant fat in our body that even with intermittent fasting cannot totally go away. And when you already have fat accumulation, because fat accumulation is also one way that causes your insulin to become burned out, not to work well. So one thing I love about the Unimate is that it has an intrinsic property to go to that resistant fat that cannot break down and break it down. And when it breaks it down, it helps your insulin to function well. Let me explain you guys something which for the purpose of simplicity and time, I left out of this presentation, but let me show you another mechanism by which you develop insulin resistance. So it's a more in-depth explanation and why this product is important. You see, so one way in which you develop your insulin doesn't work well. This is a cell, okay? On the surface of on the cell, there's supposed to be insulin receptors right on here like that. And when insulin binds to this receptor, there is an opening that comes up here. There is an opening that comes up here, and a special transporter called a GLUT4 transporter migrates to the top, and it's like a channel that opens up that glucose is gonna flow into that. Okay, that's how we take our glucose. Now, when you have resistant fat or you have fat in the cell, what happens is the fat comes and clogs up the cell like this. Okay, too much calories cause you to develop fat in the cell. The fat has no business being in the cell. But when you consume too much calories, the fat now goes and gets clumped into this cell. Now, if insulin comes to this receptor and binds on the receptor, let's say you have the GLUT4 right here. The GLUT4 cannot make its way to here because all this fat is obstructing it. It cannot make its way to the surface here to open up because you have all of this traffic. And so you cannot take in glucose. So one thing I like about the Unimate is that it goes and starts breaking down this fat. It has an intrinsic property of fat burning. So it goes and starts breaking this fat in this cell so that this cell may now look like this, maybe less fat. If there is less fat, there is all this other space that this GLUT4 transporter could move to the surface. And as it continues, this cell can now become totally free. When that cell is totally free, the GLUT4 transporters, which are supposed to go to the surface to open up to pick up glucose, are now unobstructed. So I say that to say the intrinsic property of this helps and gives you an added benefit that if you have done intermittent fasting and are not getting results, is because you have some resistant fat in your cells that need to be taken away. And this helps with that. It has that intrinsic property of breaking down that resistant fat. So that's how I'll answer that question. And in addition to that, it has many other benefits. It helps with mood. It helps with energy. One of the things this does, the active nutrient in this goes to your mitochondria and increases the efficiency of your mitochondria. The mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell, your mitochondria, which is in your cell, it goes to your mitochondria and makes your mitochondria more efficient. An efficient employee has a higher productivity, will produce more energy. So that's why intermittent fasting alone doesn't suffice for some people. It did not suffice for me. I was stagnant until I was able to break that resistance with this.
Thank you so much, Doc. So I'm going to go to Dr. Esther, and after that, I'm going to spotlight Kip because I always like to hear from Kip. Dr. Esther, related to this, one of the biggest concerns of people in our part of the world when we talk about going this type of route is they say, but hey, I'm on chronic meds and I have to take my meds in the morning. So what happens to them? What can we say about that, Doc? Thank you.
So what I say is that medications, so there's several things about medications. There are medications that are supposed to be taken on an empty stomach, and medications that are supposed to be taken with food. When we say morning, it doesn't necessarily have to be early in the morning. There's some medications like thyroid medications, which are good to take in the morning, but they're actually supposed to be taken on an empty stomach. So it doesn't interfere with, your fasting anyway. So you're actually doing a better job of taking it in the optimal environment. But medications for things like high blood pressure and stuff like that, if you need to take them on a stomach that has taken food, you can delay those medications and take them with your fast meal. Usually the morning, it's because we say you need to take medications twice a day. What's the easiest way? Morning and evening, which is when people will remember. But unless it's a specific medication like those hormonal medications, now something like a thyroid medication that must absolutely be taken in the morning, most other medications can be delayed to when you're taking with a meal. And some of them, if it doesn't require you to take it with food or it doesn't irritate your stomach, still take them in the morning. There's not going to be any problem with you taking it in the morning because medications do not break your fast. What we are trying to do is delay that morning meal. And when we say fasting, what we are talking about is really narrowing your eating window. This is not calorie deficit. We are not telling you cut back on how much you eat. Notice we didn't say anything about calorie counting in this. This is about just delaying your eating window. you find, and that is what intermittent fast, I mean, this is about narrowing your eating window to about 8 to 10 hours. So you eat all your meals in that short window. But what you're going to find is that just by the nature of doing that and incorporating these tools, you're not going to end up eating excessively, because first, the fiber keeps you full. So you're not like always reaching for something to eat and snacking and stuff like that. And then the Unimate, the tea, has that turning off your hunger center. So you actually, when you eat a good lunch, then you don't feel like snacking in between, and then you eat a good dinner. And that's what I tell people: eat to your fill. Eat until, like, don't eat like a bird and then keep feeling like you want to keep eating because you didn't get full. That meal that you break your fast with, eat to your fill. Eat things like, a lot of protein, a lot of fiber, things that actually just naturally keep you fuller. And then with your dinner, or whichever meal you're going to do a lot of carbohydrates with, then that's when you do the balance. For some people, it's that meal at lunch, and for some people, it's dinner. So whichever has the most carbohydrates, that's when you do your balance. It doesn't have to be always dinner. If your dinner is usually just lean protein and veggies, then put it when you're doing your carbohydrates. But this in no way tells you to cut out calories. Cut out processed foods. That's not good. Cut out the empty calories in terms of, snacks and stuff that are not healthy, the sugary drinks and all that stuff. So, those cut out, but eat your healthy, wholesome meals to your fill.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that, Doc. So I'm
Can I
starting
answer
to
a
see.
question
Yeah,
following
Dr.
that in the
Dida,
chat?
please go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to answer Sarah Kafwanda's question, and she asked, how long can I go through taking these products? Is it for life, or can I just do once? So I like answering this question, which commonly comes up by saying that food is medicine. Okay. There are people who are very comfortable with taking medications for the rest of their life. If they've been prescribed a blood medicine,
That's true.
they don't ask, how long am I going to take it? They're comfortable with taking it for the rest of their life. What I say, Sarah, food is medicine, and we're supposed to eat food every day, right? So if food is medicine and this is medicinal to you, I say, why not eat the right food every day to keep your body healthy? So, for me and many of us, I've made a conscious decision that I have to eat food every day. I'm just going to budget this as part of my food budget monthly because it is keeping me in health. Now, this is the other thing I tell people. Let's say that you get on this products and you have an issue that you're trying to deal with, and the product is able to help you in a period of 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, whatever time frame, reverse that issue. If it reverses that issue and you stop taking the product, the way you will remain successful without that coming back is that you now need to resolve to living and eating like your great 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 grandparents did 500 years ago without deviation. You should never eat anything processed. You should eat 100% plant and animal based, and you should have some component of fasting. I told you our ancestors were eating about 1.5 meals a day. And they were not doing that because that was their plan. It was just that food was not in that abundance that time. So they were not spiking their insulin or putting their insulin to work. So if you were to attain a reversal of whatever issue and you went back to living exactly the same way, please expect that whatever illness you reverse will creep back in months or so. But if you choose that after I have been on this, the only way you're going to maintain, you should never eat anything processed in your life again. You should, if you go back to living the same way you did, it's going to be hard. And the thing I love about these products is that it's a huge tool for us in our modern food society. I tell you, our modern food society has changed drastically compared to our ancestors. It is very hard to eat naturally now, 100% plant, 100% animal based for the rest of your. It is very hard to do so. It takes discipline, it's very hard. What I love about these products is that they're a huge support to combat what we already have in our modern food society. Just having this as a support, supplementary, uh, can help you to be able to fight the adverse modern day food environment that we have. I hope that answers your question, but in simplicity, going back to how you ate after using these products, those illnesses will creep back on.
Thank you, Doc. So I just want to add to that in terms of what you mentioned about budget and in relation to how life is here in Africa, right? So I'm speaking from a perspective of being in Johannesburg, and I want to just share my own experience. What is going to happen when you go onto this protocol is that the amount of money you're spending on food is also going to reduce drastically. So I always say that literally the guys at my grocery store down the corner don't see me as often anymore. So there is that balance that you're going to strike. So don't think of it purely as, oh, now I need extra budget for this, because other things are going to change drastically in your life. You are actually going to start seeing yourself not buying a lot of those crazy things that are so bad for your health anyway. So you are going to, so in some markets, and I think in the US, given the lifestyles there of people buying expensive coffees in the morning and stuff, in some markets, this protocol is literally cost neutral, and it's true. So yeah, but anyway, Keith. Hello, Keith. Hey. So I would like you, Keith, to tell us very, very quickly, because we really, really like to hear your story. And every time I show people your foot, I think some people at first are in disbelief. Now, I know your foot and I believe in it because I have seen that foot before. My mother used to get those horrific diabetic foot ulcers. And how the health system here treated her was that they amputated, right? And that was 19 years ago. She passed 19 years ago now, right? So the first time I saw a picture of your foot before I even met you, I was just like, oh my God, really? I should have known about this 20 years ago. So can you please tell us a little bit about your story and how it is that you're just, every time we see you, I think you're aging backwards.
Thank you, Dr. Catherine. Thank you, Dr. Dieter, as always. So yeah, I was type 2 diabetic for 25 years on varying levels of medication and insulin from pretty much day one. And in 2018, I got an autoimmune disorder that destroyed my nervous system, which left me with wounds that wouldn't heal, obviously that foot. And in January of last year, that foot ulcer went septic and took my life for just under a minute. And when they brought me back, it was on my daughter's gender reveal party. I was finding out I was getting a grandson, and I wasn't even going to be around to enjoy it or share it. And I kind of made it my goal to get healthy. Now, what that meant, I had no clue. Because I'd been trying for years, and I had crept up to almost 300 pounds, couldn't walk. And so I started educating myself, and I found this protocol on TikTok, of all places, through a mutual friend of ours. And I watched it for about a good month because I honestly didn't believe it would work. I didn't believe, the hype. And when my grandson was born in June of last year, I started the protocol. And I literally, from day one, my energy level was through the roof. I wanted to, I had so much energy, I didn't know what to do with myself. And that foot ulcer from January to June was, 2 months in hyperbaric chamber, 2 months on wound vacs and knee scooters. And that's kind of where it plateaued, and it didn't want to go any further. And within, on the second day, I lost, or I don't want to say I lost, I was able to get off my insulin, 108 units of insulin a day in 2 days. And in 2 weeks, my depression lifted. I didn't even realize how depressed I was until I wasn't. And within the first 2 months, I was able to get off 14 of my 15 medications. And my foot was looking quite a bit better at that point. And by the end of month 3, 90 days, that foot ulcer was in that third picture, totally gone. You couldn't even tell it was ever there. My inflammation was down. I was able to get up and walk. I was able to sleep in my own bed for the first time in, oh God, probably a year. And I mean, it was crazy. At the end of 90 days, I was off all 15 medication, all injections. My eye doctor, I set up all my appointments for that week right before I hit my 90 days. So I had tangible results. He hadn't seen my eyes look this good in over 4 years. My vision's actually improved. My A1C went from a 7.5 down to a 5.4. I had lost 75 pounds, 10 inches on my waist. And I mean, for the first time in probably 20 years, I felt amazing. My daughter and I were talking end of life stuff after I got out of the hospital, and we haven't even talked about that in almost a year with everything that's changed. And it, I've been on it now just over 6 months, 7 months maybe. And I'm down. I just weighed myself this morning. Why, I have no idea, because I stopped that long ago. I'm down 97 pounds,
Wow.
14 inches on my waist.
Sure.
I'm finally starting to have to buy new clothes because tired of looking like a bag lady. And I mean, it's crazy. I now have hope for the future of getting to know my grandson, getting to spend time with him, and he gets to know me other than through pictures. And
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do. I know people are talking, and I know Dr. Dieter touched on how long do you have to take it. And I'm a lifer because I don't ever want to go back. I know where I was at, and I know where I would be now had I not found this system, and it has truly given me my life back.
I think that is so amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think the most important thing that I would like to underline coming from your testimony is the fact that you said you were walking the journey with your doctors, right? You didn't just go off on your own thing and try to do this on your own. And that's a very important message. Please, audience, tonight, we need you to continue to work with your doctors. So do not leave this event tonight saying, hey, those doctors in there said I must just stop. My doctor is me, no.
Right.
Walk the journey of reclaiming your health with your doctor. That's super, super important.
The only thing I was able to get off of without my doctor's approval was my insulin. Because as a diabetic, as you all know, you're testing your blood sugar 3, 4, 5 times a day. So and there's limits to where you take and don't take your insulin. And that's, that was the only one I was able to stop immediately. And the rest just, my doctors took me off all of them.
Thank you so much, Keith. You're a star. We appreciate you. Speaking of stars, Dr. Dieter, back to you, sir. There is a question here that I would like you to address right away, please. It is about athletes. So, what are we saying about athletes that say, hey, breakfast is so super important to my Reggie, what I need to do every day? And we have a mom here that has asked that question on behalf of her son, who I know very well, an amazing young man who plays cricket. So, what can you say about athletes? What do we say?
I would say it is, you know how, what example can I give? We just do something every time the same way. In culture, let's say you have a culture where um, you're doing something every day and you pass it down to your daughter, who passes it down to a daughter, who passes it down. And let me say, one daughter asked one day, why do we do this? That's just the way we do it. There's no reason. See, the thing about breakfast, eating breakfast, we've just been indoctrinated to think that we need it, that it's important. And that's why I talk about our ancestors, that our ancestors did not eat 3 meals a day. Did not eat 3 meals a day. And it doesn't have to be breakfast. It could be breakfast and lunch, and then not dinner and the next meal. But the point we're trying to make here is that for you to have your insulin to be working well, you need to rest it at least 16 hours a day, which our ancestors were doing so easily. So if you are the person you're so particular about breakfast because that's, what time you eat before you go do your athletic thing. Okay, you could have breakfast and lunch, and then skip dinner and still make up the 16 hours. And then the other thing that I will say is one thing which, some people do not know is that when you skip breakfast, or skip any meal, your body starts burning another more efficient source of energy, ketones. Let me tell you something. When I used to exercise, I realize that the times when I'm exercising on an empty stomach, right? My endurance is better than when I eat first before I went to go to exercise. You're burning ketones, you're more efficient. So I will tell your athlete son to just try this. He'll be surprised to find out that in the fasting state, his mitochondria, his energy producing units are actually more efficient. He's gonna be a more efficient athlete fasting than non-fasting.
Amazing. So Dr. Esther, I want to go to you, and we are going to close in soon, folks. So thank you so much for all your questions. But I want Dr. Esther to address this one question. So normally when we do these talks, and those of us who are already on the program and we have been, sharing our progress photos, one of the questions that always comes up is, so people are losing weight on this thing, but am I now going to end up being emaciated and looking horrible? Because if I'm going to continue on this protocol, as a lifestyle, what happens? And I know Dr. Dida says he has been the same weight for months and months and months, but I want Dr. Esther to please address this and help us understand, why is it that you would not lose weight to your bones?
So one thing I want to make people understand is that this is not a weight loss protocol. Mm-hmm. This is a metabolic reset protocol. We say, like in North America, they say 93% of us are metabolically unhealthy. It doesn't mean we all are overweight. Unfortunately, that just seems to be one of the commonest signs of metabolic dysfunction, which is the excess weight. But what you find is that you can be insulin resistant and actually skinny. You can be insulin resistant and have a lot of cardiac issues. So weight is not absolutely the determinant of whether you're healthy or not. When you take this product, you get that metabolic reset. It just happens that for many of us, weight loss is part of it. But you do get to a point where your body is now optimal and you have reached your optimal weight and you don't continue losing. The other thing to make you know that this is about metabolic reset and not weight loss. We have had some people, either people who've been emaciated from, really bad disease, maybe they've been in the ICU for a while, or people who are like the elderly who have had trouble eating and therefore they lose a lot of weight, or for whatever reason you've lost weight in an unhealthy way. We've actually seen them put on weight, but they don't put on fat, they put on muscle. So when you look at the scale, their weight is higher, but they actually look healthier. And that's the thing also, when you're losing weight, I encourage people that don't look just at the scale, because what you end up losing, because we're not losing muscle. If you look at the scale only to look at the numbers, you miss out on all the benefits. Because what is happening is that for a while, there may be no change on the scale, but what you're seeing is a change in how your clothes fit. Like I tell people, I have only lost 30 pounds, but I have moved from a size 12 to now I wear size 4 to 6. That cannot be accounted for just by that weight, but what I have lost is fat. And now I'm not losing anymore because I think my body has got to the point where this is now kind of my ideal weight. Yes, I'm working on toning and everything, toning the muscle that I'm building, but you will not lose beyond where you're supposed to. And you will not put on too much. You're not going to like bulk up and become like a bodybuilder when you say you're going to build muscle. No, you're just going to have the ideal, body habitus, but more importantly, think about all the other benefits that are going on in your body. You're reducing your chances of getting those chronic diseases. Something that made me, when sometimes people say they're healthy, something that made me take pause was we had a cardiologist the other day give a science talk, and he said about 47% of heart attacks happen in people with a normal cholesterol. Why? Because it's not just about cholesterol. There are all these other things that we're talking about that make people unhealthy. So sometimes let's not get too fixated on numbers, but let's get fixated on making sure that we are eating healthy and we're giving ourselves the best chance to reverse whatever is ailing us and to give ourselves the best chance to move on at optimal health, reverse or prevent. So, and we all could do with this. The other part sometimes we forget of this protocol is that beyond the Unimatter is the balance. And as Dr. Dieter said, this is food for your gut. Gut health is so important. And we're not getting the amount of fiber that we need every day from our diets. So getting this fiber in a pack to ensure that I'm getting enough every day, that takes out the thinking for me. Yes, I still try and eat a lot of fiber in my diet, but I know unless I become a rabbit and pretty much gnaw on, vegetables every 2 hours, which defeats the whole purpose of giving my gut a break, this makes me know that my gut microbiome is getting fed every single day with the right amount of fiber diversity to also take care of that diversity in my gut microbiome, because it's not just one type of like bacteria. No, they're different types. And just like the rest of us, organisms, we all eat different things. Your gut microbiome needs different things. And therefore that blend of 7 fibers really helps. So it's not, don't just think of the tea. Remember what else you're doing for your gut, and your gut health, as we saw, really is important for so many things beyond, just weight management.
Thank you, Doc. That's amazing. And colleagues, I'm really, really sorry. I'm going to bring this to a close. It is 8:30 in South Africa, 9:30 in Nairobi. Our colleagues in East Africa, it is getting late. I know the Americans have to get back to work. and we really appreciate their time. So I'm going to bring this to closing, and my parting words before I hand it over to Dr. Esther, who will then hand it over to Dr. Dita to send us off, is to just say thank you very, very much for coming tonight. I apologize for those of you who had a little bit of a glitch with the link, because we did change the normal link. So today we have moved to this new virtual venue, and we promise we will not change it again. So next week, please come back here, same place, same time, using the same link that you used today. And for me, I think just to share, this is a mission. We are on a mission because Africa needs healing. The burden of non-communicable diseases on this continent cannot be left unattended any longer. We have to stop the traffic that's taking young people to graves on this continent. And my brother was one of those. We have to stop that traffic. That's why I'm on this mission. Our target this year is to impact 100,000 people with this message. 100,000. This is our target just for 2026. And we know we are going to achieve it because we are all committed to this mission. It's a God mission, and we are very, very grateful that you chose to take your time to join us tonight. For those who have been asking questions about logistics of getting the protocol, as I close, please make sure you talk to the person who invited you here tonight. I know my people in South Africa. I know you guys. You're already Googling. You're already going on websites. And you're going to end up on websites that are going to give you wrong information, and you're going to buy wrong stuff. Please don't do that. That is my parting shot. Please take our message. Let us give our insulin a rest, and let's get healthy. Thank you so much. Dr. Esther, to you, please. Thank you.
I'll just echo everything Dr. Catherine has said and tell people, at least I know for those who are in Africa asking, the product is available locally in Kenya. So something to know, the company handles the product sales. You get a link that gives you a discount, but the company handles the product sales. That's the only way we can guarantee the quality and the genuineness of the product that you buy. If you go out there to Amazon or to eBay or wherever else people go online to shop, you may or may not get the real product. And now we know that there's actually fake stuff that is being sold in the market because, and you know, whenever someone starts imitating you, you know you're doing something good. You don't want to take advantage. So please make sure that you get back to the person who invited you to this call. Chances are they know about this protocol, they know how they got it, or they know someone who can give you their link first to lock in your discount. And then for you to know that you're getting the protocol directly from the company and that you're getting the genuine stuff.
Thank you, Dr. Catherine. Thank you, Dr. Esther. And thank you to all of you guys who attended, your questions. And my desire is to give you guys, to paint a picture of hope, to give you guys information that changes your life and changes your lives the lives of your loved ones. We do not need to continue to suffer with our modern day diseases. There is hope. If you take action by just addressing these two simple issues, you could reclaim your health again. And that's what we want for you. That's what we want for your loved ones. That's what we want for your community. And if you've been on this call today and this has inspired you, it's been a hopeful message for you, we urge you to take action for yourself and for your community and for your loved ones. And we are always looking for people to join our team. As you heard Dr. Catherine rightly say, we would like to impact the health and lives of at least 100,000 people this year. And if that is a worthy mission to you to take on, consider joining us. Reach out to the person who invited you today to say, hey, you know what? I would like to be a part of healing the world. I would like to be a part of helping people reclaim their health. The more of us who are sounding our trumpets out there about this solution, the more people have the opportunity to hear it. So thank you, and we look forward to working with you if you're looking for a mission to become a part of. Thank you. Hope to see you again next Thursday. To all my panelists, Keith, Dr. Esther, Dr. Catherine, thank you guys very, very much. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
And if you need a recording of this, reach out to the person who invited you. We'll have a recording. Thank you.
Thank you.